Okay, so let's move on to some climate change news. I know it's late. This is out of the Weather Channel. I was searching for the 1.34 story, but I found this. Heat is driving warmer temperatures in the Great Lakes. Did y'all know this? This is from July 16th, 2020.
It's been a pretty warm summer for much of the U.S., especially around the Great Lakes, where the average July temperature has been running above normal. And that has impacted the water temperature for the Great Lakes, where right now we're seeing about a 6 to 11 degree boost. Now take a look at these temperatures, a lot of 70s and even near 80s showing up there. Lake Erie is turning out to be the warmest. Now this is a pretty shallow lake. It's actually one of the shallowest of all 5 Great Lakes. So temperatures there are in the upper 70s and 80s. Lake Superior is the deepest lake, but still temperatures are running 6 degrees above average. Now this is pretty good for residents who live around the area because the air temperature is still warmer than the lake temperature, so they are benefiting from a nice breeze.
All right. Yeah, extremely hot water temperature in the Great Lakes. What do you think? What do you think that's going to bring? Boiled rope lamppost right in Q. Osama, Q is an O with a heart on. Okay. So yeah. Above normal temperatures for Great Lakes waters, as you saw, that was extremely warm. Almost to 80 degrees in the Great Lakes. 75 degrees, 80 degrees. Warm as hell. Okay, so I wish that I would have seen this yesterday because I was talking about the $2 trillion climate plan of Joe Biden's. This is a really good article from Brian Kahn, Gizmodo. So basically pointing out kind of what I was saying yesterday, the gap in Joe Biden's $2 trillion climate plan reveals the biggest fight to come. So I just want to get to this one point he was making in here. Biden's shift has been largely driven by activists who have pushed him to adopt a more aggressive climate plan in line with science. So, otherwise, Joe Biden couldn't give a toss about the climate. And he's already said stuff like that. He's already been like, no Green New Deal for me. The new plan shows where Biden has been willing to change his approach, but here's one glaring omission that shows the biggest climate fight for activists is yet to come. Biden's plan focuses on the rise of clean energy, but doesn't mention the other side of the coin, how to wind down the fossil fuel industry that is the root cause of the crisis. Yeah. Yeah. And actually, Brian Kahn needs to go one step farther. It's not winding down the fossil fuel industry. It's winding down the economy. The economy, fossil fuel industry is at the root, but the economy is maybe the fossil fuel industry is a branch of the tree. I'd say the economy itself, a growth economy, is the actual root. That needs to wind down. This isn't the first time Biden has sidestepped the industry. Just last week, the Joint Climate Task Force he and Sanders created similarly didn't answer the question of what to do about the fossil fuel industry. Well, yeah, that's a pretty glaring hole, which cannot keep producing oil, gas, and coal if we want a stable climate. Though weakened by the pandemic and facing a string of recent courtroom defeats, the fossil fuel industry still has billions in cash and decades of influence at its disposal. Plus, it's also deeply entwined with American life, including in states Biden is hoping to win, such as Pennsylvania, where fracking is a huge deal. Yeah, so just another take on his climate plan. It's very Green New Deal-y. It's very like, let's, jobs, green jobs. Osama, a Moog modular in every garage. Okay, I'll take one. At the edge of extinction, only Trump supporters remain. Nick 002. Yeah. Funny. I take it you don't like Jimmy Dore, Ola Donkey. Why is he a weasel? I don't really understand that one. Anyways. Yeah, CB Unglesby, he's not great on this. No. No, not at all. But I mean, who would be? I mean, I'm going to answer my question. Sanders would be way better. Way better. Gene says, so Biden supporters are just as bad as the Trumps. I don't know if they're just as bad, but I mean, I think that they can be just as blind, right? Blindly supportive, right? There are obvious problems in the Biden campaign, but you know, we got to support him anyways. And there's obvious problems with Trump, glaring, crazy, insane problems with Trump. And his supporters are like, no, everything's fine. What are you talking about? Although I'll say this. The left is much more aware of the problems with Biden than Trump supporters are aware of the problems with Trump. I would probably generalize that statement that way. You don't trust Sanders. I mean, whatever. Man. Jimmy Dore just does it for the money? Man, okay. Tulsi has a better plan than Bernie's. No representation. I know that you're a super, super duper Tulsi stan, so she's better in every way than Bernie. I know, I understand that. I don't agree with you, sorry. But Bernie Sanders' plan was about climate change and was went way farther than Tulsi's plan. So, sorry, no. But yeah, anyways, let's move on. Funny, we're not funny, but this is a comment from Peter Kalmus about Michael Shellenberger. So Michael Shellenberger is getting, all of a sudden, you know, since we started talking about him a few days ago, or you guys were talking about Michael Shellenberger in the chat and kind of like asking me to chime in on Michael Shellenberger, all of a sudden I see Michael Shellenberger everywhere, and everybody is basically calling him a disinformer and a shill. Peter Kalma says there will always be grifters who write anti-science books on climate change saying everything's fine, no need for alarm, which is, of course, a very comforting message. The public and the status quo elites lap it up, and then they make a killing, literally. There you go. And then here's another article on Michael. I wish I had seen this article on Michael Shellenberger yesterday. I was talking about Michael Shellenberger. Bad science and bad arguments abound in Apocalypse Never by Michael Shellenberger. So this is from Yale Climate Connections, and they basically just dunk on this book. They're like, nope. They say a new book that critiques environmentalism is deeply and fatally flawed. Yeah. Shellenberger self-describes as an environmentalist activist and a bringer of facts and science to counter exaggeration, alarmism, and extremism that are the enemy of positive, humanistic, and rational environmentalism. He decided to write this book because he believes the conversation about climate change and the environment has in the last few years spiraled out of control. You mean that it's a thing that people should be worried about? Is that what you mean by spiraling out of control? Because before that, it was like, oh, climate change seems like such a bad thing. Remember when Obama was president? It wasn't that long ago. Obama was in office for 8 years, and I remember people just not really talking about climate change all that much. It was like, yeah, this climate change sure is getting bad, I guess. I don't know. It didn't seem very, very, very pressing. And now all of a sudden, you know, over the course of the last few years, obviously, extreme weather events, extreme events around the world have shown us that climate change is actually the real deal, Holyfield. And then you have President Trump, who doesn't give a toss about climate change, or was calling it a hoax, and people were really upset about that. And you have those two things together kind of making people become very, very aware of climate change. That's not spiraling out of control. That's becoming, raising mainstream awareness about a very critical problem. This guy, Michael Shellenberger, is whatever. Anyway, so it's a bunch of climate scientists just basically saying no, no, Michael. He's a nuclear energy shill. Yes, G. Demarest. Yes. Richard Monroe. I got Mary Trump's book. Can someone read it to me? I can tell you. I'll just sum up her book. Donald Trump is a very bad man. There, you don't really need anybody to read it to you. Trump is a bad guy. I can tell you that's basically the crux of her book. You don't need to read a whole book for that. Just open up a news page. Just watch CNN for about 10 minutes. Trump is a very bad man. Okay, I got it. You don't like Jimmy Dore, Schulte 100? Okay. Well, he's not for everybody, right? Some people like Jimmy Dore, some people don't. It is what it is. Jimmy Adore interviews Chris Hedges. Yes. Obioma Fashion says, interview Michael on your show. That would be funny. That would be that's a very funny idea. Richard Monroe, I'm just here to help, okay? just trying to help you. Anthony Davis says, I will be reading her book. I mean, I'm sure there are interesting facts in there. I'm sure there's, it's like titillating on some level. Ooh. Did you know he did this? I mean, Trump has done some really, fucking crappy shit. If you just look at, some of the things Trump has done in his lifetime, it's really terrible stuff. Yeah, but exactly, Scott Andrews, exactly. I myself don't have the energy to read a whole book about how Trump is bad because I already know it. I got it. I get it every day. You just wanted Trump dirt, Richard Monroe? Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and if that's interesting to you, then I get it for sure. For sure. Lightning Rod says, I like Jimmy Dore's take on the brutality and enjoyment of the brutality by the police. Enjoyment of brutality by the police. Yeah. I mean, he's, I like Jimmy Dore. He's real. He's very, very real. And he says a lot of things that are very unpopular at the risk of, being unpopular or risk of people being mad at him. I give him an A+ for being, for having, the bravery to say and do the things he does. Because a lot of things he says and does, like, he doesn't please he's not willing to kowtow to any one side or any one viewpoint in order to tell what he views as the truth. Again, like, there are other people like that too. Like, like Michael Tracy, I don't agree with everything Michael Tracy says. There's a lot that I'm like, I'm not with that. But Michael Tracy is bravely kind of just, he puts things out there or addresses things that other people, he kind of wades into some very shark-infested waters, like with his writing and his statements. And I'm like, well, at least, you did what you thought was right in the face of taking a lot of shit for doing what you thought was right. But whatever. Chris Hedges cannot understand 9/11. Is that right? I don't know what his take is on 9/11. I'm not sure. Gene says Jimmy Dore is my spirit animal. There you go. I am Sweetleaf. I like Dore. He helped me get here. Awesome. And for that reason, I really like Dor, because I'm glad you're here. Richard Monroe says, I'm moving into a beaver lodge. Okay. Why is he, Ola Donkey, why is he, I don't understand. You have some kind of reason that you don't like Jimmy Dore. I don't know what it is, but whatever. It's your reason. It's all you. I mean, that's, you don't have to like Jimmy Dore. It's fine. If you don't like him, you don't like him. Let's move on. In some, we'll call this good news. I mean, it is good news. Again, the good news is far and few between in the weeds, all the weeds of the bad news. But Mexico bans Monsanto's Roundup herbicide. This is from July 12th, 2020. Mexico announces a plan to be 100% glyphosate free by 2024. Applause for Mexico. This is great. Mexico is breaking free from Monsanto's grip on its soil. The country's environment ministry just announced it plans to gradually reduce the amount of glyphosate farmers are allowed to use until it is completely phased out in 2024. Beyond productivity, there is human and environmental health. Yes, yes. It's not all about productivity. It's about human and environmental health. Director of the Renewable Natural Resources Department, Adalita San Vicente Tello, said in a statement, glyphosate is the main ingredient in Monsanto's Roundup herbicide. It is currently the subject of thousands of lawsuits claiming it causes non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Wow. Very good. Very bold. And good on you, Mexico, for doing that. And this is good because it hopefully will be a motivation for other countries to do the same. Creative experiments. Your interview with Guy McPherson brought me here. Excellent. I was just thinking about Guy McPherson. I would probably would try to reach out to him and see if he would like to come on again. Roundup is banned in most countries except the U.S. Yeah, well, I know that it's banned in Europe or some European countries. I don't know about other countries. Okay, let's move on. Did you guys even know that this happened in Calgary? They had a huge hailstorm that caused $1.2 billion in damage, ranks as Canada's fourth costliest natural disaster. I didn't see this anywhere in the news, but this was posted on July 8th, and I believe the storm happened on June 13th. A hailstorm hit Calgary on June 13th, cost at least $1.2 billion in insured damages, making it the fourth costliest natural disaster in Canada's history, according to the Insurance Bureau of Canada. Damaged 70,000 homes and vehicles, destroyed entire crops as hailstones the size of tennis balls fell at 80 to 100 kilometers per hour. And again, this devastating hailstorms excuse me, have been a feature of the last few years. And we could probably attribute some of that to climate change, I'm sure. Freak damaging hailstorms seem to be happening all over the planet, in all kinds of places. Natural Progressive, thank you for the super chat. She says, big hearts to you in your chat. I adore Dor. He is real and willing to criticize anyone. Okay, let's move on. Sorry, it's getting a little late. This is from Scotland. Strong high pressure is just sitting over the Arctic, and this is far from ideal. Of course, again, we've been seeing intense ice loss in the Arctic, and we're at a record low right now. Strong high pressure. 24 hours of daylight combined with anomalous warmth on top of mostly clear skies is optimal for depleting the already record low Arctic sea ice coverage. As of July 13th, 2020, we are about nearly 2 million kilometers below the long-term average. You could pretty much fit France, Germany, Spain, Italy, and the UK in this gaping hole. And here we are. We are currently below the 2012 record minimum. I mean, I think we're actually lower. This was 3 days ago, right? I think we actually got lower than the last couple of days. This is the temperature simulated of the next 5 days in the lower part of the atmosphere. Very few areas within the Arctic will be below freezing. We will be seeing quite eye-opening drops in ice coverage as the melt season continues. Locally, huge losses. Osama, thank you for the super chat. Sir, you have been hitting it out of the park with your daily coverage. Stay safe and cool, man. Thank you. Rob Bamford, thank you for the super chat. Rob asks, whose door? You are, I'm assuming you're in the UK, because that was a pound super chat. Jimmy Dore, look him up on YouTube. He's quite good. Well, I think so. Let's move on. Okay, so this is what I wanted to cover, and I know I got here kind of late in the video. This is something kind of a new story that's out on a couple different places, outlets. Anyways, they're talking about the peak population in 2064, which I find laughable that it's going to take that long to hit our peak population, but an interesting subject nonetheless to be circling around the mainstream news. BBC, this is from BBC News, July 15th. Fertility rate, jaw-dropping global crash in children being born. So before I read this, I have to point out what's strange about this, or glaring in this coverage, is that they're talking about how bad it's going to be that populations are crashing. Why would it be bad? Because economies rely on populations growing, because we live in a growth economies. So if populations are falling, it's not necessarily a good thing for economies. So I think that's probably why this point of view is expressed in this article. Anyways, the world is ill prepared for the global crash in children being born, which is set to have a jaw-dropping impact on societies, say researchers. Falling fertility rates mean nearly every country could have shrinking populations by the end of the century. And 23 nations, including Spain and Japan, are expected to see their populations halve by 2100. So, yeah, countries will also age dramatically with as many people turning 80 as there are being born. Well, this is, I guess, another reason why they're saying this is a bad deal is because a major part of the population will be the elderly, and you'll have a very small population of young people paying taxes, basically to support social programs that take care of the elderly. But all that aside, anyways, let's keep going. Fertility rate, the average number of children a woman gives birth to, is falling. If the number falls below approximately 2.1, then the size of the population starts to fall. In 1950, women were having an average of 4.7 children in their lifetime. Researchers at the University of Washington's Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation showed that the global fertility rate nearly halved to 2.4 in 2017, and their study published in The Lancet projects it will fall below 1.7 by 2100. However, right, they're not talking about any other problems going on in the world. So they're leaving out a lot of information in this study. I mean, this is just purely a pinpoint look at population growth or birth rates or whatever it is. But, let's not factor in climate change, economies going bust, peak oil, etc. Environmental devastation. Let's not even look at all that stuff. Let's take all those factors out and just look purely at population, which is a little bit ridiculous to me, because if you don't factor in all those things, what good is this study? Because none of this is going to matter in a few years, right? In the next 10 to 20 years, because climate change is going to do climate change things, and economies are going to collapse around the world, and so that's going to have an effect on the population as well. So why these factors aren't in this study, I don't understand, because science, because scientific blinders or whatever. As a result, the researchers expect the number of people on the planet to peak at 9.7 billion around 2064. Again, I laugh. Before falling down to 8.8 billion by the end of the century. Okay, we're not going to make, we're halfway to 8 billion, or where are we now? 7.5 billion? I'm not sure. Something like that. We're not going to make it to 9 billion. I've said before we would never make it to 10 billion. They're saying we're not going to make it to 10 billion. But it's, that's not going to happen until 2064. Again, there's a lot of information missing in this study. There's a pretty big thing. Most of the world is transitioning into natural population decline. Researcher Professor Christopher Murray told the BBC, "I think it's incredibly hard to think this through and recognize how big a thing this is. It's extraordinary. We'll have to reorganize societies." Yeah, you will. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing, dude. Why are fertility rates falling? It has nothing to do with sperm counts or the usual things that come to mind when discussing fertility. Instead, it is being driven by more women in education and work. But I thought this is what we were trying to do, as well as greater access to contraception, leading to women choosing to have fewer children. In many ways, falling fertility rates are a success story. Right, exactly. We're trying to do this, right? This is... anyways, which countries will be most affected? Japan's population is projected to fall from a peak of 128 million in 2017 to less than 53 million by the end of the century. Italy is expected to see an equally dramatic population crash, from 61 million to 28 million over the same time frame. There are two of 23 countries which also include Spain, Portugal, Thailand, and South Korea, expected to see their population more than half. They are two of 23 countries. This is jaw-dropping, Professor Christopher Murray told me. China currently, this is actually great. This is what is supposed to be happening. Actually, much faster. much faster. Right, and this is all, this is for good reasons. Right, women have access to contraception and education. These are for the best of possible reasons. This is population declining, with compassion and social justice in mind. But of course, at the bottom of all of this is the economy. China, currently the most populous nation in the world, is expected to peak at 1.4 billion in 4 years' time, before nearly halving to 732 million by 2100. India will take its place. The UK is predicted to peak at 75 million in 2063. Okay. And fall to 71 million by 2100. So USA, this is interesting because USA goes up, keeps going up. Nigeria goes way up, almost to 0.7 or 0.8 billion. Why is this a problem? Okay, let's find out. You might think that this is great for the environment. Might, as in, yes, you should think this is great for the environment. A smaller population would reduce carbon emissions, as well as deforestation and all the environmental destruction that goes along with a larger population. That would be true except for the inverted age structure, more old people than young people, and all the uniformly negative consequences of an inverted age structure. Okay, it's not bad if you think it through. How are you gonna deal with this? Number of under fives will fall from 681 million The number of over 80s will soar from 141 million to 866 million. Holy moly. It will create enormous social change. Well, yes, it will. And you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to figure that one out. Makes me worried because I have an 8-year-old daughter, and I wonder what the world will be like. Who pays tax in a massively aged world? Who pays for health care for the elderly? How about the government? You just print the money. Dang it, it's not that hard. You guys make it seem like we're not paying. You just print the money, and you just make it happen. Jesus. These people still like live in this made-up fairy tale world of like, oh, who's going to pay for it? Bullshit. We have plenty of money to give to the military every single year. Nobody ever asks who's going to pay for it. No, you just print the money and you make it and you give it to the military. That's all that happens. Jesus Christ. Countries, including the UK, have used migration to boost their population and compensate for falling fertility rates. This is also true of the USA. Population of sub-Saharan Africa is expected to treble in size to more than 3 billion people by 2100. Anyways, all of this doesn't matter. All of this doesn't matter. Why? Because we are entering a time of great trial and tribulation, of great reckoning with the environmental damage that we've done to the earth. So, are humans even going to make it to 2064? B, if we even make it to 2064, we will be nowhere near 9.7 million people or billion people. No way. No way. Like, the earth is going to shed a lot of human beings in the next 20, 30 years. So there's just absolutely no way. And again, the problem is if we can speed this process up before we actually hit the wall of, destroying the planet. And from all accounts, it doesn't look like we're going to figure that out or do that quickly enough. Probably not. We could actually all, we could all grow a brain, as a society. Collectively, we could all grow a brain and go like, hey, here's this problem. We have to deal with it. And it's coming really fast. So let's talk about degrowing our economy. Let's talk about, degrowing our population, naturally, just like, okay, have fewer babies, decide to have fewer babies. Let's talk about, the things that we really have to do, stopping our consumer culture, stopping airplane flying, stopping all those things, right? We have to rapidly degrow everything, every single thing about the human population in the next 10 years, if we're going to even have a chance. And so that's the living in reality scenario. The non-living in reality scenario is, oh golly, birth rates are dropping and we could see 9.7 billion people by 2064. That's totally not in reality. Hey guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and you can support the channel at the links below, PayPal, Patreon, Square. Also, if you'd like to watch the live streams, you can watch the live streams on my Patreon channel. You can subscribe for as little as $1. So hopefully I will see you over there, and thanks so much.